The first time Horde and Alliance worked together in Warcraft.
In the newest patch of World of Warcraft, for the first time ever, Horde and Alliance players can team up to do dungeons and raids. Now,
It's a
despite
nice
this,
improvement.
Over the game's history, members of the opposing factions have teamed up hundreds of times. And there's one particular event of Horde and Alliance members joining forces that is barely ever talked about. And it's in an ancient Warcraft book written by Chris Metzen called Of Blood and Honor.
I haven't read that yet.
The story we're going to talk about today involves the noble paladin named Tyrion Fordring and the honorable orc named Eitrig, and how the brotherly bond they developed with one another was one of the first ever instances of Horde and Alliance teaming up.
You know what's like so crazy? Like, even if we look at like Legion and it's like even before Legion, like we always had this sort of, right? Like there was at least a part of a quest line where Horde and Alliance worked together. Same with like Wrath of the Lich King, right? Like there were like some parts where it was kind of like they're getting friendly with each other or something, right? So I'm also like very surprised that it actually came so late with cross faction. Like, they could have added this way earlier into the game, in my opinion. And yeah, by the way, guys, if you're new to this channel, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more content. So yeah, it came very late.
So when I say this book is old, I mean it. It came out 21 years ago, before Warcraft 3 even came out. Also, really quickly, in this book, Eitrig is green, but in later iterations of his character, he's kind of gray. So just for consistency, let's just say that he is gray in the book. Okay, look, when your universe goes on for this long, some stuff kind of just falls through the cracks, okay? So timeline-wise, this book is set between Warcraft 2 and Warcraft 3. Years have passed since the Second War has ended, and the humans are rebuilding after a devastating conflict. The once enraged savage orcs have been thrown into internment camps after their defeat. Tyrion Fordring is the governor of the settlement of Hearthglen in the Kingdom of Lordaeron. The paladin was a skilled ruler and never let his town's defenses falter during the war. Although, as of late, there are rumors from various human kingdoms that the orc forces are on the move once again.
This picture, that's the Yeti, right? That's funny, sorry, I had to look at this again. Like, I love the way Platinum WoW does like those edits and like how he always builds some jokes into his lore videos and stuff.
Move once again.
Oh yeah.
Tyrion mounted on his hardened warhorse named Mirador and patrolled around his settlement to see if he could find any suspicious activity. Tyrion had found an abandoned guard tower. On closer investigation, it seemed like someone or something had been living there. He'd need to return to Hearthglen to report his findings to the rest of the kingdom before— Hey!
Oh.
My blades will rend your flesh!
Oh. That's epic. Oh no, is he losing? Ouch!
Tyrion had slashed the orc's thigh, crippling him for a moment. The paladin could have dishonorably butchered the orc right then and there, but that would be against his paladin code. If he was to win, it would be a good, fair fight.
Wow. OP. Are you kidding me?
Oh, that was a mistake.
No way. Wait, he saves him? Did that really happen? I see now. So they were like fighting, and because this happened, he thought it was not so honorable, or maybe he thought he was like an honorable foe. So he actually saved him, and by this, Tyrion started to respect Eitrig, right? Because of this action, I believe. Because like the old school orcs, those that were not following the fell corruption, or maybe they were like kind of like forced to follow it, like they had a very, very strong code of honor. They were very honorable. So yeah, that's why like a lot, like there are some characters like you can even see this like in the classic era that are still following the code of honor. So yeah, I guess that's what happened.
Fantastic.
Tyrion
What?
had woken up in his own
Is his
bed.
family?
His wife, Carandra, had told him that he just appeared at the gates of Hearthglen, unconscious, bloody and bruised, and tied up to his own horse. That was 4 days ago, and Tyrion had just now regained his consciousness. The paladin put two and two together, and realized that strange orc had saved his life. Murmurs and rumors spread across the town of Hearthglen. The only thing that could have gravely wounded their lord like that must have been an orc. Perhaps a whole warband of them had breached into their lands. The 2 previous wars they had with the Greenskins had put them on edge, and some protested that they should be proactive and send out hunting parties this instant. But Tyrion was their ruler, and ordered...
You know what? I'm not surprised that like the Alliance, or let's say the humans, that they dislike the orcs. If you look at like how the orcs came to Azeroth through the Dark Gate, like the Dark Portal, and like how they were like kind of like trying to conquer everything and stuff because they were like looking for a new home. They came in a very violent fashion, and as so-called like conquerors and stuff, right? They tried to like conquer the whole of Azeroth. So I understand that they are not so liked by the humans because they are responsible for so many deaths, and they are the aggressors, you could say, because they started it first by invading. So I see why humans dislike orcs.
that no such thing would happen. It was just one singular orc, and that was all he saw. He would figure out what to do with it as he saw fit. In the early morning hours of the next day, Tyrion mounted back up on his horse with his warhammer and snuck out of his keep to investigate the abandoned guard tower and that strange orc once again.
Hello. Man, dog, you know, it's like I'm feeling you, but I'm not feeling it, you know?
The 2 warriors sat within the tower that was once their battleground. The orc introduced himself as Eitrig. He lived alone in these lands, a deserter of the Horde. He left the bloodthirsty warband after his sons were sent into an unwinnable battle by a dishonorable chieftain who only seeked good standing within the Horde rather than seeing his people prosper. You see, the orcs had long forgotten the way their ancestors lived. They once lived by an honorable code, maintained relative peace, and
That's what I said, the code of honor. Like Atric, he is super old school. He's like a true old school orc, and I love the old school orcs. Like one of like my most favorite allied races in WoW is actually the Mecha orcs. Like Warlords of Draenor was a very, very fun adventure for me. I love like how they have those very interesting clans, like their old ways, like how heavily also shamanism is part of their culture and stuff. I think like the old school orcs are super interesting. I hope in the future we get to see more of like more in depth of the clans and stuff. We maybe not gonna get like another Warlords of Draenor part 2, but it would be nice to learn a bit more about the orcs in an additional expansion.
worship their ancestors. Tyrion thought to himself, maybe perhaps the orcs and humans were much more similar than he was led on to believe. But the perversion of warlocks and the drinking of demon blood made them forsake their honorable ways, and the only type of orcs the humans knew were these bloodthirsty green monsters they had become. After years of pointless war, Eitrig just wanted to live the rest of his days in peaceful solitude. As Lord of Hearthglen, Tyrion vowed that he would make sure that no harm came to the peaceful orc ever again. By his paladin code, he would ensure this promise. The 2 warriors saluted each other once again, and Tyrion traveled back to Hearthglen. But little did he know, maintaining peace would not be so easy. What the f*** are you doing, Tyrion? To the paladin's surprise, his superior, Saidan Dathrohan, had arrived. He was on high alert of orcish activity because recently an orc named Thrall had led an uprising at one of the prisoner camps, so he traveled over to Hearthglen to investigate this strange activity. The people within the town were already suspicious of Tyrion, since he had that run-in with the orc, and then he just like sneaked.
So they were like literally spying on him. But yeah, this with the withdrawal, that's actually also an interesting story, how he broke free and how he actually started the new horde and everything. Yo, that's like an interesting story. Was it like Noble? I think Noble made a lore video about it, and I like watched it. It was very, very interesting and very in-depth. Like, I recommend this. If you guys want to know more about Thrall, check out Noble's channel.
Sneaked out in the early hours of the morning a couple days later. You know, perhaps he was colluding with the enemy. Saidan Dathorhan demanded that Tyrion show him where this orc was. He was at an impasse. Tyrion vowed to keep Eitrigg safe, but he could also not deny an order from his paladin superior. So, with a heavy heart, Tyrion agreed, led Saidan and his men to the guard tower,
That's
where
dangerous.
his new friend stayed. Obviously, Saidan and his men were not there to shake hands with Eitrigg. He was imprisoned and would later be tortured for questioning. Any information they could get on the rogue orcs in the area would be critical.
Wow.
Tyrion was enraged. This unknowing betrayal against Eitrigg went against everything a paladin stood for. He needed to save his new friend for the sake of his own honor. Tyrion was thrown in a cell for his treachery. Why on earth would he be trying to help a beast such as this? He would later be escorted to Strathhome, where he would stand on trial for his betrayal to the Alliance.
He did not betray them.
Tyrion stood alone.
Like, the old rulership of the Alliance was so horrible. This is also the reason why freaking Blood Elves joined the Horde. They have like so many bad leaders. They like back in the day. Like the Alliance had many evil ones. Like now the Alliance, like they have like good leaders, but back in the day they were like actually not so good. Like modern Alliance, some people say, hey, they are morally on the good side, but back in the day they were sort of like racist as well.
Alone at his trial. His judge was Uther the Lightbringer, the supreme commander of the Paladin Order.
Oh,
The
he's
jury
lucky then.
was Dalen Proudmoore, Archmage Antonidas, Archbishop Alonsus Fowl, and Arthas Menethil. Tyrion explained the reasoning for his actions, that Eitrigg was one of the most honorable opponents he had ever met, how he is different from the orcs they had fought in the past 2 wars.
Why don't they
He
interview
also
this?
explained his promise to Eitrigg, and how if he turned his back on his word, he would betray his honor as a
That makes sense. And one thing I don't get, why don't they interview Eitrigg? Like they could come to him and say, hey, you know what? We have reason to believe that you are a threat, but maybe you are not, so let's have a discussion. You come with us to the headquarters and we're gonna talk or something. Maybe he would have willingly joined them in peace. Like they just immediately captured him. Like the approach, like I said, the old Alliance, they were very corrupt and evil. Like some of those were like kind of like generals or what you could call them. They had even like their own ideas. Like didn't like the Defiers, if I'm not mistaken, the Defiers Brotherhood, like those bandits you also see in like Westfall, weren't they like formed and created because they were like some corrupt generals and leaders and like in high position in the Alliance? I think they're like, yeah, that's the reason why they even exist. Same like the Blood Elves, why they joined the Horde, because there were some bad leaders within the Alliance, like some evil generals and stuff.
and how if he turned his back on his word, he would betray his honor as a paladin.
Yeah, he's guilty.
What?
Uther and the jury really didn't care about all that because at the end of the day, Tyrion was still colluding with the enemy. But they gave him a chance to repent and receive a full pardon if he condemned his traitor's actions. Tyrion took a moment to consider, but he promised that he would forever be a soldier of the Alliance, but to disavow his oath to Eitrigg, it would go against everything he stood for. With a heavy sigh, Uther did what he had to do and declared Tyrion excommunicated from the Knights of the Silver Hand. With the wave of his hand, Uther drained the holy magic from Tyrion, filling his banished heart with despair. And yeah, I guess paladins can just do that? I'm pretty sure this is the only instance in the lore where the light has been stripped from somebody like this. But anyways.
Yeah, that's confusing me now. I thought this was not possible. Isn't like the light channeled externally, not internally? Can you remove something that's channeled externally? Or are priests different from paladins and paladins have it internally? Okay, I'm a bit confused on this. Like, I have to look into it because I thought like the void and the light are external forces, like something you can call, right? Like, huh? I didn't know it was like inside people. Okay, interesting.
All of Tyrion's titles, property, and really all of his belongings would be stripped from him.
Holy
He
shit.
would live the rest of his days exiled from his kingdom, forced to survive in the wilderness, alone, and without mercy.
So he became a
Later,
warrior.
Tyrion
No
went to
more
visit
paladin.
his wife Carandra, who disavowed his decision. She now had to raise their son Talion alone in Hearthglen, all because of Tyrion's stubbornness to protect his honor. The excommunicated paladin stepped out
heck?
into the wilds, stripped of his belongings, abandoned by his loved ones, and nothing but a hammer on his back. He had lost everything. Now he needed to make his honor right.
Uh-oh. Why does this look like Stratholm? Is this Stratholm? Oh, nice.
Tyrion
Yeah,
had
he saved
picked
him.
some impeccable timing to rescue Eitrig from his execution because Thrall and his liberated band of orcs were currently pushing an assault on Stratholme. With the guards distracted, it allowed Tyrion to sneak out of the city and into the forest to tend to Eitrig's wounds.
Ah, he can no longer use
Tyrion
healing
inspected
magic.
the orc's body. To realize he wasn't even breathing, Paladin got on one knee, begging the light to answer him.
Light, grant me one final blessing. Give me the strength to shatter these bonds.
The powers of the light was not something that could be stripped from him. It came from within. He had sacrificed everything to maintain the values of a light-imbued paladin. And it is with this undying faith he would achieve the impossible.
Resurrection spell?
I thank you.
Tyrion had channeled all of his holy power into resurrecting Eitrig from his untimely death. While resurrection
Wow.
might be a very common thing in-game, lore-wise, this is an incredibly rare event that only happened a small handful of times in the universe's history.
Loktar, friend.
Thrall and his band of orcs introduced themselves. He was the war chief of this new horde that shared similar ideals and respect of honor like they did back on Draenor. They were actually assaulting Stratholme to rescue Eitrig, who is a legendary warrior they wanted to add to their ranks.
But Tyrion was first.
Eitrig agreed to join them, and Tyrion turned to leave. But Eitrig stopped him.
This ended right there. Best friends for life. There we go. Show him the biceps.
We are both bound by blood and honor, brother.
Nice.
I will not forget you.
And that is where our story ends today.
Ah,
But you might be wondering,
too bad it doesn't
did
continue.
Tyrion and
That's
Eitrig
interesting.
ever cross paths again?
yes, I think, right?
Hell no! Across all of WoW's expansions,
You're
they
kidding
never
me.
interacted once. Tyrion did interact with Thrall, but mentioning the first time they ever met never happened. But it's not like this
And they-
book never happened.
And they, like Tyrion, he died. Like he's dead. Why? They will never meet again. Would there be at least some like memory or something that we can get from like Eitrigg in like a future expansion? Maybe Dragonflight, that maybe where he mourns him and says, "Oh, he used to be my friend," and this and that or something. I hope we get at least that.
In classic WoW, Tyrion is still exiled and hanging out in the Plaguelands. He would later form the Argent Crusade and play a huge role in defeating the Lich King, and then he died at the start of Legion.
Yeah.
But maybe we can go into more detail on those events at a later time. As for Eitrigg, he was an extremely minor character until he got a little bit of screen time in Mist of Pandaria,
Finally.
and a bit more screen time in the Battle for Azeroth expansion, where he was the leader of the Stromgarde Warfront, where he says things like,
You can choke on your retribution, Terralion! Horde! To battle! Crush those cowardly castle dwellers before they breach our gates!
So yeah, he's not so peaceful these days, it seems. But that doesn't stop this short story from being a neat little gem in Warcraft history. You gotta realize, this book came out before Warcraft 3, the game where Warcraft really started to form its own identity. So this book of Blood and Honor is a neat little time capsule of when this universe was coming into its own.
Is it just me, or do you guys also feel that way, that like if you look at like the lore back in the day and like the plots, they were like more interesting and fun because they were not as crazy complex as they are these days. Maybe I'm a person that loves like simple stuff more than like complex stuff. Like we look at the old school lore from Warcraft 3, before Warcraft 3, and like the classic era, like the vanilla days till TBC, Wrath of the Lich King. I actually found the lore and the story more appealing to me and more fun to go through than these days, because everything is just so complex. Like, how do you feel about that? Let me know in the comment section.
It was one of the first times peace was ever established in this world of Warcraft.
Okay, it's over. That was interesting. Yeah, I wish now after seeing this, because I didn't know about this book and about the story with Tyrion and Eitrigg, I wish they together would have like met again, or there would be like a quest about both of them. Like it's sad because like they had like a close bond, right? And then they have like no interaction, and then Tyrion dies and they can no longer come together as like good old friends or something like that. I think that is so unfortunate. It's like very sad now, right? Like if you do like time walking now and you do like Legion after watching this video, like Tyrion's death will feel different now to you. I wish they would have kept Tyrion alive or something. I'm not sure if they can somehow bring him back or make it like, oh, he didn't die, he actually almost just died or something. Because I think it's actually bad that they have taken out Tyrion. Because there was still, I felt like there was still potential in the character of Tyrion in the future. I would have loved to see him die of old age or something and maybe retire and then maybe pass the lead or something. And then maybe he returns quickly for some, I don't know, maybe like a quest line, and then we never see him again, but they just killed him off in Legion. Like, I wasn't a big fan of Tyrion dying, to be honest. Because he was like a very major character and he still had potential. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm always like happy to see when like Platinum WoW uploads like a new lore video, because I feel like they're also very in-depth. Like, I think my favorite like WoW lore channels are definitely Noble and Platinum WoW. But Noble, like, he no longer does like WoW lore videos, does he? Not really, right? He's like all into FF14 now, and it's okay. Like, if you're a creator, go for what's your passion, what you're interested in, and just have fun doing it, like making content. But yeah, interesting. So yeah, let me know in the comment section what you guys think. Do you like more complex lore? Or do you also prefer stories like that are like more simple, more about like individual characters and less complex scheming and stuff? I'm more of a fan of like simple story, to be honest. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give this one a thumbs up. I wish everyone a wonderful day. I will see you guys next time.